To be successful in this business, you have to get into the arena. Speaking is a profession. Whether you are an aspiring or established professional speaker, a subject matter expert, using speaking to grow your business, or ensuring that your voice can ignite a movement and a charity, this is a profession. You cannot wish success into being. Well, this particular episode, it should be relatively short and sharp and maybe not quite so sweet. In the last solo episode, I spoke into the missing ingredient for most speaking breakthroughs, the ability to become wildly compelling. But there is one thing that I've always known to be true, and I speak about it often. To be successful in this business, you have to get into the arena. Speaking is a profession. Whether you are an aspiring or established professional speaker, a subject matter expert, using speaking to grow your business, or ensuring that your voice can ignite a movement and a charity, this is a profession. You cannot wish success into being. This has been a favorite rant of mine for almost the entire 8 years as I've specifically moved into focusing on this space of speaking-driven strategy. You cannot wish success into being. You have to get into the arena. You have to do the reps, and you are going to have to do it anyway. This has been a thread, as I've said, through every single thing I've spoken about in the last 8 years, and now it's showing up in every single conversation with my podcast guests, those successful speakers and experts who have so generously given of their time and experience so far. I can tell you right now, it's showing up as well in the episodes that I'm currently recording and the ones that we're locking in. So much so that it is universal. It is proving itself completely to be universal, no matter the experience, no matter the background, no matter the current position, no matter the current lane, no matter the current markets, and it's actually showing up across every continent as well as I dive deeper into this. Elizabeth McCormick in episode 53 demonstrated this so incredibly clearly. Before she became one of the best motivational speakers in the world, before she became one of the most in-demand female speakers in the USA, Elizabeth spoke for PTAs and Rotary clubs, more than 120 Rotary clubs in the Dallas Metroplex to be precise. And Rotary club presentations, they are usually no longer than 20 minutes. But Elizabeth didn't dismiss them as not being enough time to practice her full keynote. She chose to use them to repeatedly deliver her 2 key stories over and over again. She honed, she iterated, and she improved. She did the reps over and over again. And those 2 stories that she worked on during those Rotary presentations, the ones we usually overlook, they are now the opening and closing stories of her most in-demand keynote. And I have come to realize my own origin story of accidentally dropping into speaking, in spite of my absolute resistance to any form of speaking after taking over a family business, was not an accidental success. I grew up with a mother in politics who, as the owner of the family business I took over at the age of 29, had become the face of that business. She spoke at every single event she possibly could as she educated an entire market on what we did and why they should use us, because we were first to market in our location, which doesn't mean easy with no competition, as many people seem to. It means you first have to educate people to why they need you and more why they should pay you. On taking over that business from my mother, I had already been trained in the then infamous Morgan & Banks consulting sales system and knew how to sell consultatively. And if you're in Australia and you're of the Gen X age, you will know what I'm talking about. I had also been witness to my mother's political speaking. I'd even written some of her speeches in her largest campaign. And to her, using speaking as the only marketing tool available to her to grow a multi-million-dollar business was actually the example of entrepreneurship that I held. I was so deeply immersed in my knowledge of it all that when I first stepped into leading her business on her departure, I was able to train every single one of my key staff in how to speak so that I could send them out instead of having to do the speaking myself. And that was my ultimate goal, to never have to speak on a stage. So my accidental success, the first time that I was almost hoodwinked into speaking in front of a crowd of 200, it wasn't actually an accident. It was the culmination of immersion, coaching, witnessing, and being actively involved in helping others speak, right from the age of 21 when I wrote some of my mother's campaign speeches. The reps have been done. In the same way sporting greats use immersion and visualization to gain an unfair advantage, I had done the reps that way. But it's not just the reps. It's also about climbing the stairs, because quite frankly, some of you are doing the reps, but you're simply not going anywhere. You are not climbing the steps. You're not increasing frequency.